So just going to do a quick video for you guys on the idea that I've come up with for the alternative project. So as you can see there, I've got something that's called the kitchen maze. So this was obviously the idea to create something that can be replicated all year round and can also be used with a large groups of people. So keeping this in mind, I've sort of played on the idea of the Game On case study, and actually looking at a show that used to be aired that was called The Crystal Maze, which had 4 sort of different areas, different zones, and a group and a team of people go and complete challenges in each zone, try and pick up as many points as they could, and that gave them a chance to sort of win a nice big prize at the end of the show. So I've wanted to try and put this into kind of the kitchen makeover example. So the three sort of areas that you focus on, and it's going to be 15 days in total, you have a 3-day where there's initial setup, so an introduction to the course, what the benefits of it are, and sort of setting the scene of what this project should look like from start to finish for the participants. Then I've got the sort of middle section, which is considered as the battleground, and the 3 three areas we're really focusing on are sort of changing that environment within the fridge, the freezer, and the cupboards over the 15 days. And at the end, there's sort of like a little reward, as if you've sort of won the battle, you've overcome that environment, and a little bit of reward, and again group cohesion at the end. So with the phase 1, the setup, the sort of first 3 days of this sort of kitchen maze challenge really is sort of finding time. I found that the first daily practice we had on this level 2 course was hugely beneficial for me, and over the next 15 days with this kitchen makeover, within this sort of kitchen maze challenge, there is going to be huge, well, not massive, but it's still going to require them to take a little bit of time out of their day to complete some of the challenges over this 15-day period. So I thought with the first day, just setting the scene of how important it is to sort of find time to plan, prepare, and commit to the initial 15-day challenge. So as you can see there, the 10 minutes each day will allow the individual to complete the simple challenges set out along this 15-day journey. A couple of ideas there. I thought that Leslie's idea of the MailChimp was fantastic initially. I've run courses before where I've done WhatsApp groups where I can put a challenge on each day. You can get group interaction, tutor interaction. So the idea of this would be just to send out a tutor video, a coach video to explain the importance of finding time. That's going to be their daily practice over the next 15 days and try and set their mindset to completing this challenge. Day 2, they're covering the 5 whys. So I obviously want each individual to have their own underlying motivation, whatever that can be, over the challenge. Now, with the social interaction, they're more than welcome to put that into the WhatsApp group. They put that into social groups to tell people why they're doing it, or if it's something that's quite personal to them, they're more than happy to email the coach independently or just keep that to themselves, as long as they know what their underlying motivation is. And then day 3, before we get into the main bulk of the challenge, is just setting the scene. So within the video post, the coach will set the scene for the next 9 days of battle. He will explain the necessary skills that will be challenged in a quick overview of what we're meaning by red, yellow, and green traffic light system and foods and nutrition choices. Here on the 3rd day, participants are tasked to schedule 10 minutes of a battle each day within their diary. So again, we're getting one of those 3 S's, the scheduling aspects as well. But really, today's assignment is to plan, prepare, and commit to this battle. So with that, what we would expect is for them to just schedule 10 minutes over the next couple of days so they can really focus on making this makeover within their kitchen maze. Then we've got sort of the main component of the actual makeover and the actual maze. So here, it's the first 3 days here, so you've got day 4, day 5, day 6. It's identifying foods within their kitchen that are considered red foods. So the first day, it's finding a little bit of time to have a look through the fridge and identifying what foods they would consider are red foods for them. So here I'll just have a quick read of one of the paragraphs. So for this task, the client is asked to take pictures or make a note of items they themselves will consider red light foods. In other words, the foods in there that might trigger them to overeat, feel aren't very nutritious, or make them feel unsatisfied or crappy after eating them. Make note that the coach has not identified any foods here. We are looking for the client's understanding and their own perceptions on what they consider red trigger foods for themselves or even their family. Finally, haven't asked the client to get rid of them. It is just simply a case of identifying them there. And that is what they'll do for the fridge on day 4. They'll do that for the freezer on day 5. And they will do that for their kitchen cupboards on day 6. Day 7, 8, and then a little bit further now, 9 is all about the identification of sort of green food. So for this task, the client is asked to take pictures or make a note of items they themselves will consider as green light foods. In other words, the foods in there that the client will makes them feel full, potentially feel as if they've ticked off a healthy habit, they feel good after eating them, and simply add some much needed colour to the dull and base surroundings that potentially cover in their fridge, the freezers, the cupboards. Again, this is not about the coach identifying green foods, but gaining an insight into what the participants consider as healthy and nutritious choices. By the end of battle 6, or by the end of day 9, hopefully the group conversation, so within that social interaction, will have helped identify a whole range of what people have considered their red trigger foods and what people have considered green trigger foods. And it's not just about the coach doing this. If we've got a whole social interaction on messenger groups, MailChimps, whatever it is, ideally I would like to run it on like a WhatsApp group. It would allow each other to sort of do some peer review feedback as well. So within these first sort of 6 days, we've got 3 days where they're identifying red foods within their surroundings and in their environment, and they're identifying green foods within their surroundings and in their environment. And then the final 3 days, battle 7, battle 8, battle 9, is all about making these changes. So for the last 3 days of battle, the participant has to show some understanding of the difference between the red and green foods. So what we are looking for here is that they have changed one or more items identified as red from the fridge. So if they have identified a number of sort of foods within there that they considered as red trigger foods in the initial 3 days, what we're looking for in these last 3 days are for them to make some smaller sustainable changes in there. So what we're looking for here is that they have changed one or more items identified as red from the fridge and swapped them for a green item in that fridge. So this will involve skills, maybe shopping, and could even get participants taking videos in a supermarket and communicating what that swap is and why they've done that swap. Quick example could be a bottle of pop for a bottle of water. Smaller sustainable swap there. So hopefully over those 9 days, we've seen some red foods been removed and some green, healthy, nutritious foods put into there. And then for the final sort of conclusion, phase 3, the end is near. Day 13, just a little bit on the group, some before and afters. So show us what your fridge looks like potentially from the first day with red trigger foods. Does it look any different with any sort of green highlighted foods in there? And are you happy with the before and afters? Day 14 would be a little insight. So towards the end, we'd like a 3 to 5 minute video on what went well and what you found was difficult, your strengths and your weaknesses. Did you overcome any issues with your families, your friends with doing that? So just a little insight into their journey on it, and it allows me as a coach to make improvements along that. Value lots of sort of feedback. And then day 15, a well-deserved meal. So for a hard-earned reward after all your efforts, show the group a meal of your choice with your new and improved kitchen ingredients. So overall, it's a sort of 15-day challenge where really it's just educating the clients around, first of all, what is their underlying motivation for participating in the kitchen makeover, and then getting them to understand the basics around red trigger foods and green trigger foods, and trying to sort of make smaller sustainable changes in their kitchen over the next 15 days. And again, the other benefit will be the huge social interaction and the peer review of it. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and as always, I'll appreciate some feedback on this case study. Thank you very much.